Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Previously in our coverage of Dawn of Majesty, we went over Sous Ships, an archetype of seafaring seafood that revolved around the impressively statted normal monster, Rice Sous Ship. But it appears that it wasn't the only new theme to make use of the yellow bordered cards. Everyone, meet Clavis. They're an excitable, precocious little unit, and they headline the new theme, Magikey. In another attempt to see just how pushed you can make card design as long as it's tied to normal monsters, we have a lot of cards that equal cheap and efficient fusion and ritual summons, on top of some strong control and removal effects. We've got a lot to go over, so let's not hold things up any longer. We'll review the armory to see what we're working with, determine what we aim to do with the deck, then see who we can invite to make this hunting trip even better. It's time to set our sights on Magikey. But before we continue, I'd like to give a huge shout out to TheHavreCardMan for reaching out to help with this video. They're taking over editing duties for this episode, so to help me show my appreciation, please go check out his work at the link above, as well as his audio drama, Yu-Gi-Oh! Synthesis, which tells the story of a duelist whose heart has been darkened by tragedy, desperately seeking answers on the dangerous streets of Eventide City. You might even hear a familiar voice while you're there. Thank you all so much for watching, and now, back to the video. So, what's the deal with Magikey? Well, there are a lot of different things. They share the name, but as far as stats go, they have very little in common. Though the names are all based on a variety of demons found in the Key of Solomon. So once again, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has juxtaposed pretty anime characters with forces from beyond the veil. God, I love this game! Generally, they care about controlling and having in the grave normal monsters, as well as having attributes in your grave that match those of monsters your opponent controls. Let's start with the star of the show, Magikey Skyblaster Clavis. They're a level 4 Dark Warrior with 1900 attack and defense, and knowing flavor text translations, this is bound to look a lot different upon release, but it portends the joining of two keys, two forces to open a door that shall reveal an enormous power. No wonder everyone's calling this the Kingdom Hearts archetype. And what would a ritual or fusion deck be without their signature summoning spell? And in this theme, they've been rolled all into one. Magikey Maftia is a normal spell that allows you to fusion summon a Magikey fusion monster, or ritual summon a Magikey ritual monster using material from your hand and or field. But if you control a normal monster, you can send a normal monster from your deck to the grave as fusion or ritual material as well. So we're already seeing some major benefits coming from having a normal monster-centric theme. Having a card that's a pseudo-Shaddoll fusion and advanced ritual art is no joke, and since it lacks a hard once per turn clause, as long as you've got the material, you can keep summoning big monsters off your devil trigger. And thankfully, it's searchable by Magikey Unsealing, a field spell that, when activated, adds a Magikey monster from your deck to your hand. The first time a non-token normal monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect each turn, it is not, so this will help keep your material monsters safe. Lastly, once per turn, you can add a Magikey Maftia from your deck to your hand, then place a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. So you're essentially trading a Garnet in hand for a much more useful card. So you can much more safely run engines for setups that require them, like Dragoons or Psyframes, vastly raising the unsealing of your deck. Continuing on with the support, Connected Magikey is a normal trap that has you adding a normal monster or Magikey monster from your grave to your hand, then you can either ritual or fusion summon an appropriate Magikey monster in defense position using material from your hand or field. While none of the currently available Magikey boss monsters have on-summon effects you can cheat out on your opponent's turn that are super impactful, it's still a fantastic way to make them efficiently and can end up helping you dodge some targeted interaction in the process. Unfortunately, it's kind of a downward spiral from here. Not in terms of card quality, oh no. But once your magical weapon gains sentience, they're gonna talk on and on about their own personal quest, and then all your personal objectives get thrown out the window. It's a real drag. Next is Magikey Lock Unlock, a counter trap that you can activate in response to an opponent's activation of a spell or trap card while you control a Magikey ritual monster or any Magikey special summoned from the extra deck. You negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. Then you can declare an attribute, and if you do, all monsters your opponent currently controls become that attribute until the end of the turn. It sucks that there's no monster negation, but we'll get to that in a bit. For now, this will keep your board safe from things like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm, and setting up your opponent's monsters so that they're vulnerable to your own effects, helping you put your games on lock. Okay, time for our boss monsters, and let's start with our rituals, cause that's where we'll see Maftia get some upgrades. Magikey Blaster Batos Buster is a level 4 Dark Ritual Machine tuner monster with 2000 attack and 2200 defense. If they're ritual summoned, you can add a Magikey card from your deck to your hand. Also, once per turn, when a battle is declared involving Batos Buster and an opponent's monster with the same attribute as a normal monster or Magikey monster in your grave, you can place any number of cards from your hand under your deck, and if you do, negate the effects of the monster Batos Buster is battling until the end of the turn, then draw cards equal to the amount that you put under your deck. So it's effectively negation paired with a mulligan? Honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about the negation. I don't think there's a 2000 attack body that can get over anything with an effect worth negating, but the redraw effect is pretty snazzy, allowing you to get rid of cards you can't use to hopefully draw into more action. But probably the most interesting facet of this card is that it's a tuner, added into a theme that lacks any synchro monsters. This likely foreshadows support in a future set, but it's going to be interesting to see how they incentivize the usage of a ritual tuner monster, considering all the work that usually goes into making ritual monsters. Also, Maftia turns into a Gatling cannon. Who doesn't want that? And it gets even better when they become a whole weapons installation. Magikey Cannon Garrisvet is a level 8 Earth machine with 2000 attack and 2800 defense, and gains attack equal to the number of different attributes in your grave times 300. When your opponent activates an effect of a monster who matches an attribute of any monster in your grave, and that copy of Garrisvet was ritual summoned, and it was done so using monsters of at least 2 different attributes, you negate the activation and destroy that monster. And if your ritual summoned Garrisvet is sent to the grave, you can add a Magikey monster from your deck to your hand. So here's the big negation body for our team, and goodness is it a cool one. What I like is that, in contrast to Batos Buster, you don't need to have specific monsters in your grave for the attributes to count, so you can load up on as many as possible, provided Garrisvet was ritual summoned using 2 or more. And if your opponent somehow gets rid of it, or heck, you get rid of it so you can use it as material for something else, you get a free search on top of it. I don't know about you, but I think this card's a blast. Now it's time for our fusions. Magikey Summon Beast Anciala Bolus is a level 4 Dark Beast fusion monster with 2200 attack and 2000 defense, requiring any Magikey monster and a non-token normal monster as material. If they're fusion summoned, you can add a Magikey Maftia from your grave to your hand. Oh, that's nice. Once per turn, you can target an attack position monster your opponent controls that matches an attribute of a normal monster or Magikey monster in your grave, change it to defense position, and if you do, it loses 1000 defense. Also, any monster it destroys in battle is banished. Another tuner, what is going on here? Admittedly, it is cool to have a level 4 tuner in your extra deck that you can get with instant fusion, while it's still legal of course, to set up a synchro while also grabbing a stranded Maftia. Summon Beast is also a lot more likely to run over things than Batos Buster, and while it's not negating any effects, it does deny a lot of grave triggers with its banishing effect, which are usually found in the stat range Anciala Bolus can attack over. And it gets you back your main summon spell when making them, turning it into a 0-cost summon. I wish I could end this segment with some kind of Holy Diver reference, but Clavis isn't riding a tiger. Heck, I don't know what they're riding at all. Our last card is Magikey Summon Dragon Androbemus, a level 8 Wind Dragon fusion monster with 2800 attack and 2000 defense, requiring a Magikey effect monster and a non-token normal monster. When fusion summoned, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects, so it's kind of like a mini magical meltdown. Once per turn, you can target a normal monster or Magikey monster in your grave, and you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls of the same attribute as the selected monster. Also once per turn, if an opponent's monster with the same attribute as any monster in your grave is destroyed by battle or card effect, while Androbemus is fusion summoned using monsters with 2 or more attributes, you get to draw a card. So where Garrisvet was more of a defensive monster, Androbemus is here to go on the offensive, blasting whole swaths of monsters of the same attribute and rewarding you with a card draw for your efforts. Top that all off with a very respectable attack stat, and you've got a card that can easily tip the scales in your favor. So that's all the Magikey cards, but what do we do with them? Well, we don't have a really strong game plan, but we do have an offensive side in our summon beasts and a defensive side with our rituals, so we'll need cards that are flexible so they shine in either circumstance to help us take control of the game. But what can we do to help them out? We could try running this alongside a Drytron engine. This gives us access to negating lights with Garazvet and drawing off of Androbemus' effect, which will be very helpful in warding off an errant Nibiru. But if we want to take full advantage of them, we're gonna have to add in some generic ritual spells like Advanced Ritual Art, because Maftia doesn't actually count as one. We're going to be seeing this kind of stuff crop up a lot as it turns out. Because we don't have a traditional ritual spell, we'll have a hard time fitting in with other ritual support. Dogmatica might be more up our alley. We can always hold the Ecclesia and Maximus until the last minute, letting us do our fusion plays as much as we can, then we can use cards like Ecclesia to set up some strong turn 1 boards, or use Maximus to set up a search or two with Herald of the Archetype. We should also add some normal monsters so we're not totally reliant on Clavis to keep our effects live, and to diversify our attribute lineup. Thankfully, we have a few really strong ones to choose from. We've already got Dark, Wind, and Earth covered with our Magikeys, so we just need Light, Water, and Fire. Thankfully, we've got 2000 attack stat monsters for that in Mech Knight Avram, Megalo Smasher X, and a recent addition, Rice Suship. As for a silly tech pick, I'd like to see what Element Sabers can do for the theme. Sure, they aren't normal monsters, but like Clavis, they're all warriors, so reinforcement of the army can help smooth over our hands, and even a single Element Saber can act as any attribute you need at any given time. Shove enough into the grave and you can end up with the right setup for Elemental Grace Doriato, which is a non-once per turn special summon negator. Who doesn't want that? And that's all I've got to say about Magikey. There's a lot of room to grow in this archetype, but it's already got some solid cards with a fun build around condition, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here, especially lore-wise. I feel like we're going to get another Magikey like Maftia that somehow helps with Synchro and Xyz summoning, as well as a rival Skyblaster to be a foil for Clavis. Just make sure you get all your tech cards now, because you don't want to be caught on the wrong end of a buyout if this gets good. Preparation, after all, is key. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you think that Magikey is gunning for the top spot, or are we a few bullets short of a magazine? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video around. It really does a lot to help me out. I'd also like to thank TheHavreCardMan once again for editing today's video. It really helped with my workload. Please give their channel a look. They really deserve it. Also, please consider becoming a Starlight Explorer by using the Join button or supporting me on Patreon for a variety of perks. Every single one is a step towards helping me do this full time, so if you liked what you saw, you could be part of making it even better. And if you want to see another video about a deck that spits in the face of modern card design and headlines a normal monster, check out this video I made all about Suships. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.